7:2, I will cry unto the God Most High, unto God that performeth all things for me. I love that. God performeth all things for me. This is why I believe that every word in my Bible was written to Mike Hoggard. That's why I believe that. For Mike Hoggard, to Mike. God will perform all things for me. I love it. Psalm 119, 128, therefore I esteem all thy precepts concerning all things to be right. Ha! I love that. All things are right, and I hate every false way. That's why I hate the NIV, the RSV. Somebody told me that I had to read, in order to get my mind straight, I had to read a book by Clarence Larkin. So I got a copy of that book. Gary had it. You know what I'm finding in there? Any place in the King James Bible where he didn't find what he wanted, he went to the Revised Version because it said what he wanted it to say. I hate that. I hate that. And I'll give you an example of that. Clarence Larkin teaches the pre-Adamic world, which the King James Bible says nothing about. It's not there. It's not there. And you say, well, what about it? I'm telling you, it's not there. It doesn't exist. And to prove his point, I think there's a passage out of Isaiah that said that God created the earth not in vain. And that's what it means. He created it not in vain. In other words, he had a purpose for it. But Larkin didn't like that because it didn't prove the pre-Adamic world. So he went to the Revised Version, which says he created it not a waste. And he says, see, there it is right there. I hate every false way. I hate it. I don't want any part of it. Neither should you. You should. I mean, that. To be honest with you, that's what I do. Someone hands me a book saying, now, Pastor, you got to, now there's, read this book now, or go to this website. Now, they don't use the King James, but they got to get information. I don't read it. I don't read it. And I won't. It's the first thing I look for. Somebody wrote a book about prophecy. First thing I'm looking for. What Bible did they quote? Well, the NIV, sorry. Not going to read it. I don't want that in my mind. I hate it. I hate the false ways. And so what I like is that all things are true. Concerning all things to be right. Proverbs 16:4, the Lord hath made all things for himself. Yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Think about that. Think about that. Who made Pharaoh? God. Who made Judas? God. Who made Lucifer? God. Who made the beast? God. Why did he do it? To give man choice. There's no choice unless you have. Here's what God said. God said, believe what I said. You shall not eat of the fruit of the tree. You shall surely die. And so God made Lucifer, and here he comes along, the serpent, saying, you shall not surely die. So now you got to decide which one you're going to believe. Proverbs 26:10, the great God that formed all things, both rewarded the fool and rewardeth transgressors. He formed all things. Proverbs 28:5, evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Lord understand all things. They that seek the Lord. You say, well, there's some things in the Bible I don't understand. Keep reading. Keep reading. You'll get it. It may be the next day, it may be in the middle. To be honest with you, I hate those revelations in the middle of the night because I really like to get my sleep. But just keep reading. God will show it to you. How do you know this, Pastor Mike? Because he said he would. Call unto me and answer, and I will answer thee and show thee great and mighty things that thou knowest not. So you know what the best thing that you can do in your search for truth is not to go about to try to reestablish somebody else's version of truth. Or really not to even have an agenda to try to tear down everybody else's version of truth. All you should be interested in is, I want to know the truth. And there's only one. And I want to know what it is. So, do what I did. Come out of the camp. Tell God that you don't know everything. That you're not as smart as you thought you were. And God, just take it all out and give me understanding of all things. He'll do it. Isaiah 44:24, thus saith the Lord thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb, I am the Lord that maketh all things. That stretcheth forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself. Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked, who can know it? That's man. That is mankind. It is desperately wicked and deceitful above all things. This is why let God be true and every man a liar, people. Jeremiah 51:19, the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things. And Israel, think about that. He is the former of all things. You know what he's talking about? Christ. And Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Read Isaiah chapter 11. The rod, the stem of Jesse. The Lord of hosts is his name. He is the former of all things. Before all things were, Christ was. Remember what Jesus said, before Abraham was, I am. I love that. And the Jews were going, did you hear what he said? They knew exactly who he was identifying himself with. Matthew 11:27. Now we get into the New Testament. These are some cool passages here. Matthew 11:27. All things are delivered unto me of my Father. Now, and I keep referencing the Word of God here. So think about in Revelation 5, we have the book in God's right hand. And then it's delivered over to his son. Now his son has it. Think of Moses. See, God drew a picture of it. He showed you a type of it. Here's Moses in the mountain of God, and God gives him his word on two tables, Old and New Testament, two witnesses, confirmed. It comes down from heaven in his hand. That's that beautiful picture of that. I love that. And so here is all things are delivered unto me of my Father. And so the Father has all things in his hand. He then delivers them over to his Son. Now his Son has them. Now they're mine. Okay? And no man knoweth the Son but the Father, neither knoweth any man the Father save the Son, and to he whomsoever the Son will reveal him. Matthew 17:11. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come and restore all things. Matthew 19:26. But Jesus beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. Isn't that neat? Everything that God said in the Bible, he can do it. He will do it. That's what hope is. Hope is knowing, not just wishing, but knowing that what God said he'll do, he'll do. With man, it is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. Matthew 21:22. And all things, whatsoever ye ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive. You know what I get out of that? I get out of that when you pray, and prayer is asking God for things, I think that your brain and your thought processes and your mind should coincide and be in line with the Scriptures. And when you read the Scriptures and have a scriptural mindset, you are never going to get on your knees and cry unto God that God make you fabulously wealthy. God, I need the Porsche. I need it. You're never going to do that. So you get your mind in tune with God. Whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive in all things. Whatsoever ye shall ask. Get your mind going along in line with the Word of God. Matthew 28:20, teaching them, here we go, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I commanded you. Now, here's something that you probably were thrown a curveball on this issue from the Hebrew roots people who are trying to convince you, desperately convince you, that since Jesus kept Torah, which that phrase not in the Bible anywhere, since Jesus kept it, He's commanding us to keep it as well. That's a lie. Jesus said that, let me find it. I don't know if I can think of the verse. I'm going to paraphrase it. As I have kept my Father's commandments, He kept the law. So you should keep my commandments. Two sets of laws, two sets of commandments. Okay? Just throw that at you. Let's see here. Mark 4:34. But without a parable spake He not unto them, and when they were alone, He expounded all things to His disciples. Isn't that neat? I love this. I don't know why I didn't do this 3 weeks ago. Well, I do. They cut our internet cable, and all kinds of problems happened, and they call me names, and I'm having fun today. Teaching them to, but without a parable spake He not unto them, and when they were alone, He expounded all things to His disciples. He's telling them what the parables mean based upon the book of all things. John 1:3, all things were made by Him, and without Him was not anything made that was made. I believe that the Bible is an absolute, perfect rendering of everything that is in the universe. I may not be able to see it all, but I think it's there. The book of all things created all things, and without Him was nothing made that was made. Let's see here. John 3:35. The Father loveth the Son, and hath given all things into His hand. John 4:25. The woman saith unto Him, I know that Messiah cometh. It's in John 4. Why didn't I see it? I know that Messiah cometh, which is called Christ. When He is come, He will tell us all things. Now, you hang on to this one, people. When Messiah comes, He will tell us all things. So, Joe Smith of the Mormon Church, which I don't think that's his real name. I think he made that up. What's your name? Joe Smith. Joe Smith of the Mormon Church said that Jesus did not, in fact, tell His disciples all things. That He told Joe Smith them in the 1800s. Another testament. Even though at the very end of the New Testament, Jesus Himself said, no more words after this one, we're done. Joe Smith comes along and says, I got another one. And people fall for it. People fall for these latter-day prophets and all these dreamers of dreams and everything like that. Oh, they're prophets. They're